This is Whiskey Dix, and you're listening to the DU Football Show. Football!
I figured that's a good way to go out on the season.
How I feel after the season.
Football kicked us in the ding-ding this season.
Yeah, I'm tired, man.
Emotionally, just the length of it, it was a tough one.
Oh, yeah, it was a big old cock of a season, wasn't it?
If you didn't think we were wrong all the time already, get ready to listen to this show where we tell you we're very wrong. Let's start the show.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston.
Sam Houston?
Arsenal fans have another Sam. AKA the fucking Gooner Graham. Snub of my lord. Looks great in shorts. Sam Graham, hey.
Sam Graham.
Fucking United! Fucking United!
Hello and welcome to the DU Football Show, a completely biased recap of the entire EPL season and our predictions as told by two common American schmucks. I am your host, Sam Houston, and across the way from me, my co-host, definitely Father of the Year after hearing about that Pitt story.
All right.
Samuel Graham.
We don't need to get into that.
I left it very vague. How you doing, Mr. Graham?
Doing
You're the
very
one who
well.
decided to make it more.
Doing very well.
You know a pot shot's coming.
I know.
You know a
and
pot
I just
shot's
want to
coming.
make sure that everybody knows, right? Since I was here and experienced it, I'm a content creator, not a content consumer. Okay?
Okay, very good.
So,
Just
if you want to know what that's in reference to, patreon.com/DUFootball.
No, it wasn't even mentioned on Patreon.
Yeah, wasn't it?
No, it was just here, off mic. You were
Oh.
like, I don't want to say this on microphone. It's exactly what you said.
Oh, no. I'm talking about me not wanting to do anything other than be in front of the camera.
Oh, yeah, that is very true. We already know that.
Oh, he's not going to listen to it. It's fine.
Graham is talent.
We'll just do what we want.
Oh, I mean, one of the golden rules to broadcasting is to go back and sound check yourself so you can hear verbal tics you do and things of that nature. How many shows have you listened to, Graham?
4, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. I've listened to every fucking show we've done.
Good. So somebody's out there getting the job done.
We're recorded at the DU Public House just outside the nation's capital. You can check us out on all podcast platforms. Please be sure to rate, subscribe, review, and share with a footballing friend. Should you want to chat with us, there is many ways that you can. Mr. Graham, tell the good people how they can get in touch.
Absolutely. It is at DU Football Show on all the social medias. We do check our DMs, so make sure you are using that avenue. And then dufootballshow@gmail.com to get in touch via email.
And if you're like 311, man, brah, gotta smash that subscribe button, brah. Give me that Amber energy, brah. Be down, man. Press the subscribe button,
look,
brah.
now he's just using all our jokes, Mel. All my jokes.
And I just like the one.
I'm used to it. He takes my jokes all the time and just rips them off like they're his, and I'm like, oh, you motherfucker. I don't
actually,
get
all
residuals.
you
I'm
have
on
to do
strike.
is
Actually,
come listen to
you're-
this drugstore cowgirl, okay, and the beautiful disaster that is the two of us, and we'll be just fine.
your Slavic. That's what I call it now. I no longer call it a Russian proverb, but your Slavic proverb.
Slavic?
Well, it doesn't matter.
What do
It's
you
that I'm
sound like
not
you're-
saying the word Russian because that's so good right now. But I look at everybody and I go, my wife found this. I stole it from my wife. Unapologetically, I stole this from my wife, and I use it every single time. Because why? She doesn't have the same use for it that I do. So here you go. And of course, the proverb is, the church is near, but the roads are icy. The bar is far, so I shall walk carefully. And that's how I end every little speaking engagement thing that I do and do a cheers and all that.
Nice. I have a new one for you.
Okay,
The
please.
most quoted man in history, and it has to do with our gin.
Okay.
So I'll give it to you when I do the gin bit.
Sam and myself both work in the wine and spirit industry and both have a deep, passionate love for all things distilled spirits. So as the red-blooded Americans we are, we vow to have a drink in our hand throughout this show and every single show, even when the producer's being a mocking bitch. Mr. Graham, what are we drinking?
Wilde Irish Gin, as in Oscar Wilde, the most quoted man in history, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you would gauge that.
Yeah, I know. It is interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, Wilde Irish Gin. This is 94 proof, so 47% by volume. The distinct botanicals in this one, to set it apart from everything else, is purple heather, which grows near the distillery in Ireland. Anyway, on the bottle embossed Okay, very beautifully on this nice purple bottle. It has a quote from Oscar Wilde that says, and I think you would enjoy this and maybe could use it to end some of your speaking engagements, I can resist everything except temptation.
Pretty brilliant. And how much you said that run on the shelf?
This on the shelf would be around Hendrick's pricing, so you'd be around $35.99 to $39.99.
Okay, very good, very good.
Now, I could also see you using that as your opening line to endear yourself to some sort of AA meeting.
Love it, love it.
Yeah, this is lying. We're never going to that.
No, never, 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 never. Oh, and I spruced it up a little bit this time. We're using Fever Tree's Cucumber Tonic Water.
Yes, it is a very floral gin.
Yum.
I enjoy it though. I think it's delicious, and the cucumber tonic water does kind of mellow it out and give it that nice, refreshing quality as well.
And I added a little something. My bartender helped me out with an event this weekend.
Spice to that.
Yes, he had made a summer Sazerac, but he had done a glue that was you know what? Someone belched here. It was not anyone named Sam, so I wonder who that was as she quickly hits the mute button. Selling now her muter is her choice.
Yeah, and I like how she did the little three finger. Ooh, is that me?
Oopsie me.
Oh, did I just do a toot?
Fucking show. But my buddy Clint Lopez with the yes, Mrs. Houston.
I also turned the camera off me.
Oh, okay. You just
You got to shut the whole fucking thing down.
Oh, God.
Shut it down. Burn it down. It's over. Abort.
I'm back now.
Brilliant. That's funny.
Yeah. Oh my God. You make me think of like Bill Paxton in Aliens. Like,
Yeah.
we're fucking done, man. We're fucking done.
Game over, man.
Game over, man.
What a way to end the fifth and final season. Get a Mel Belch. Brilliant.
So my friend Clint Lopez with Silver Lion in the Riggs Hotel, just one of the best cocktail bars
in DC, right?
Yeah, and one of the best cocktail bars in the world, frankly, just absolutely amazing. Once you and Carly make the move down, definitely a couple's night to there, because
for sure.
Somebody can put that on the old expense account.
I'd like to either start or finish the night at Le Dip in a seafood tower also.
Oh, yeah, some lay dip. Oh, I could fucks with some seafood tower.
With a side of french fries. And
Gotta
champagne.
have frites and champagne, man.
yeah.
Frites,
fair.
champagne, and seafood tower. Oh, that's my favorite
Yeah.
meal.
It was pretty fucking good.
That's my favorite meal.
Continuing on what I was going to talk about, the summer Sazerac that Clint had made is got a what he called a glue, right? It's a absinthe, lime, mint, and ginger,
Mm-hmm.
and it's thick, so it's like a paste, and you paint it on the inside of the glass. So when you're taking a sip, you get those flavors washed into your drink, but without being too terribly powerful.
Right.
I still feel like the cucumber tonic really kind of overpowers this drink. It does mellow out the gin quite a bit. I'm getting a little bit of that ginger and lime, but not as much as I'd like.
Yeah, it's there,
Yeah.
but it's not
Yeah, last night when we recorded
as pronounced as I want it to be.
when we recorded the Naptown Blues fan cast, I did probably a little too much for the Sazerac, and tonight I probably didn't do enough for this cocktail, but still tastes good. And Mel's is fucking gone.
I'm like, I'll give you a chance to redeem yourself and make me a second one.
I'm not getting up and making you another one.
Do it better this time.
Yeah, apparently I did pretty fucking well because
Until Mel's gone.
what is it? Something we should do, Sam? That producer Mel certainly isn't
The
doing.
reason that we won't ever go to AA is because we always drink legally and responsibly.
Very good.
Speaking of responsible drinking,
Mm-hmm.
Graham said the magic words about whistles, and Mr. Pat is watching in the chat.
Hey, what's
what
going
up?
on, Big Pat?
Wah, 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 wah.
As we said, the Pied Piper of white bitches, Mr. Patrick.
Allegedly, YouTube. Allegedly.
No, there's no alleged about it. He's a master. He would get on the dance floor and he'd put a whistle in his mouth. And then within 30 seconds, 50 white women were around him dancing. It is stuff of legends. We embrace that.
I know. I just don't want us to get banned.
There ain't nothing there and there that I'm not doing some Alex Jones shit. We'll
There
be
ain't
all right.
nothing there and there. There ain't nothing there and there.
All right, let's get to the action, Mr.
Yes.
Graham.
Well, there was no action. This is just. Oh yeah, there was one game.
Yep. We open with the FA Cup, where we had a derby, a record broken, and one step closer to a treble. Manchester City 2, Man United 1. Ilkay Gundogan with the brace, but that first one, the previous record set by Louis Saha for Everton in 2009.
Fastest FA Cup goal ever at
25 seconds. Mr. Gundogan said, give me half that. 13 seconds,
Yeah.
1-0, Man City's up.
And in the middle of the game, apparently, the dubious goals panel actually gave it to him for 12 seconds. Then after the game, reversed it to 13.
There we go.
Yeah. Pretty insane. Just essentially caught everybody asleep. I mean, he had no business trying that from that distance at that stage. I mean, that was his first touch, really.
You know what? Why he gets to do that? The goal against Everton. The confidence is there. He's been scoring like crazy, but you're able to pull off goals like you did. That little
Kieran
flick
Gibbs.
behind it, just
Kieran Gibbs said it best at halftime. Of course, former Arsenal player. So very interested in what he has to say. But he said it best at halftime that he just late stage of the season, Gundogan becomes prime Zlatan somehow.
Excuse me real quick. This was going to be the other intro I was going to play, and you just proved to me why I should have probably picked that one.
This is Mike Rice, Man U supporter. A drinking game suggestion. Big Sam makes a point. Graham makes it about fucking Arsenal. You're listening to the DU Football Show.
Please tell me I'm wrong.
This is still about Ilkay Gundogan in Manchester City. But Kieran Gibbs just thought relevant. People might not know who he is. He did used to play left back for Arsenal.
Okay, well,
by the way.
Real quick, I should drink because that's the drinking game.
By the way. Anyway, no, he said that late in the season, Ilkay Gundogan becomes prime Zidane.
Yeah.
Don't know why, but the last month of the season, he's banging the goals and assists left, right, and center. And it's been proven yet again, scoring really a hat trick here. Obviously, the third goal was chalked off for rightly offside.
Yeah, of course.
But, yeah, I mean, he just puts himself in a good position, and this was an absolute fucking screamer of a goal. The game overall, in my opinion, though, wasn't very good.
City had complete control, but didn't seem to want to score a second goal until it was equalized.
They didn't get out of second gear, really, in my opinion. And they just
not at all.
I mean, if you've got a center back playing defensive midfield and John Stones taking 4 United players out of the game with a simple turn, it's
ridiculous.
It's a joke. Really, it's a joke.
Now,
it's a joke.
It's a joke. Now, Man
where
United
did he end up? Is he in the championship?
I think so.
Oh, come back.
No. Man United did end up equalizing on a handball checked by VAR against Jack Grealish.
It's not a handball, my opinion.
Well,
but as soon as the VAR got involved and had the referee go look at it, you knew it was going to get given.
Oh, God,
But
yeah.
Jack Grealish wasn't even looking at the fucking thing. He was in the air.
Yeah, just an arm was up. And
your arms do naturally go out to balance you when you jump. It's part of it. Now, yes, his arm kind of made an upward gesture. I think it's part of just him turning and, again, balancing himself. And he knew nothing about it. It was very close proximity. I really don't think you can give it. But as soon as the referee blew the whistle and made the VAR sign, knew for a fact it was going to get given.
Now,
sure.
I'm okay with
Sorry,
that
my
goal.
mother-in-law texted me.
I'm okay with that goal because my CEO texted me as well. So you just got to fight through that shit.
Nobody fucking wants us until we're doing something.
Right. Then everybody wants to talk to us. That's how it always rolls.
A man in general, but,
Pat, do not text me right now just because we're doing a show.
just everybody leaves you alone. The second you sit down and take a shit, whip your phone out. All the kids are banging on. Oh, come on, Daddy, need some help. Get the fuck out. This is my time.
Thanks for the insight into your house.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, why I appreciated the fact that they got the penalty and Bruno Fernandes put it home to equalize at 1-1. At that point, City was about to go the whole tournament without conceding a goal.
Yep.
The last time that happened in the FA Cup?
It was in the 50s, wasn't it?
1966, Everton Football Club. So,
66.
One of my records had already been broken that day. I didn't want another one broken,
Right,
for
yeah,
fuck's
no
sake.
shit.
Let me hold on to the small sliver of hope and cherish it as much as I fucking can.
Yeah.
Into the second half, real quick.
But y'all did set a record this season for the most times a board has accused a fan base of physical assault that didn't happen.
Yeah, but exactly once. Headlocks. Still no proof. Still no proof at all. I mean, in this day and age, one camera phone. Shaky footage. I mean, it could be like we seen Bigfoot footage with like the super shaky camera, and like maybe it was a headlock or maybe it wasn't. Like, I'd at least go for that. They haven't to be able to show that.
I'll go look at the Google Street Cam, see if it caught anything.
Yeah, just something, anything, something. Yeah. Why? Why? Because it didn't fucking happen. That's why it didn't fucking happen. Don't worry, Bill will make a musical about it. It'll be great. One lone headlock. Woo.
Jazz locks.
Headlocks.
Actually, headlocks, I think, are the one thing that probably couldn't be jazzified.
No, very true.
They're very contained.
Yeah, very contained. Now, well, no, I don't know.
You could tap with your feet.
By their very nature.
And then shake your butt.
But the person in the headlock has their arms free, so they could.
Oh, they could
jazz hands.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Could also give a fluffy.
Yeah, the person,
Which is the best way to get out of a headlock.
administering the headlock does the tapping, and the person getting the handlock does the jazz hands.
Well, I mean, where I'm from, whoever's in the headlock does the tapping.
And that's how murder happens.
So, start of the second half again.
The
He got
administrator.
Gundogan within like what, another 30, 40 seconds, puts another one in the net, 2-1. How's your father? Game over.
Yeah, what you worried about
And
here?
after that, it was nothing. I mean, United had nothing to answer,
I mean, they had
and City never had to push.
They had not possession, but they had these transitional opportunities up until the final third. But it was that final ball was always shit. You know, there was one pretty dangerous cross put in. Marcus Rashford did get his head to it, but couldn't find the direction necessary. Ended up 4 or 5 yards wide.
Mm-hmm.
And Gundogan, the second goal was terrible. Honestly, it was a bad hit. I think De Gea saw it late. But after what he did at first, you think he'd be a bit more alert to what's happening. It was not a very good strike. He did not catch it clean. And you could see Lindelof's face when they showed the replay as he stuck his leg out to block it and went over his leg still. You could see his face as he's turning like, fuck. Just knew it was just inevitable. You just knew it was going to happen.
Knew it was going to happen.
But I did not post on the socials yet the congratulations, Manchester City, for the FA Cup because I'm waiting. I'm going to wait and just do the treble as it's completed, which I think it will be.
That's what I was about to say. 2 of the 3 done, and it's going to take a miracle from Inter to be able to slow this team down.
Yes.
In the case of when they lost it to Chelsea, it was a team who knew him well and knew how to set up a plan to stop them. This team does not know them.
No, there's no way. There's no way. Although it is set up for a Romelu Lukaku hat trick, Inter win it, and then he comes back to Chelsea as the guy that stopped the treble, as a former Manchester United player, of course. And somehow they can't offload him this summer, and he ends up flopping again in the Premier League.
Too funny.
Which would be brilliant.
That would be fucking hysterical.
But no, that won't happen. City's going to roll them, I think. They don't have enough pieces around the rest of the field, to be honest with you. And I think City, this is nailed on, which, as an Arsenal supporter, this is kind of my hope, is maybe Pep wins this and goes, you know what? I'm going to go out on a high, walks away, right? And then, the next guy coming in is not going to be as brilliant, right? As perfect. So that opens it up for Newcastle, Arsenal, United. Seems like they're going to be adding decent pieces this summer. City still will have players there. It seems like this is going to add, spice to the league if he leaves. And the only way he's leaving is if he wins that treble.
I tell you what, nobody.
And it's still not guaranteed, but you have a better chance of it that I finally did what I set out to do here.
Nobody wants to see Checkbook City FC win the treble, but everybody wants to see Manchester United get their comeuppance.
Damn straight.
Yeah. Time for us to do our predictions.
And because my record still stands.
Yeah, exactly.
The Invincibles is still a thing.
Right. Yep.
The treble won't be.
Exactly.
So
well, we
now
talked
I
about that
still
we
stand.
talked about that in the parking lot too. How we just want someone to do it because you're like
Yep.
the 72 Dolphins and you're like Mercury Morris, and we just want you to shut up.
Yeah.
Anywho, Mr. Graham, we do every single year we do our predictions. Why don't you go through and let everybody know exactly what it is that we do?
Yeah, so we sit down as the football nerds that we are, and we pick where we think everyone's going to finish 1 through 20.
Mm-hmm.
We pick, normally we would pick the first manager sacked. We were late doing it this season because people were sacked quite early. Actually.
Mm-hmm.
So this year we did the third manager sack
Yes,
because 2
third
people
manager
had already
fired.
lost their jobs by the time we did our predictions.
And I don't remember who the third manager fired was.
That's what I was looking at when you were bitching at me for being on my phone. I was pulling up the sacked in order list. Thank you very much. And I guarantee we both got it wrong.
Of course we did.
We picked the Golden Boot winner, the FA Cup winner, and the League Cup winner. So basically all
and
things...
didn't we do a dark horse too, typically? Did you not do one this time?
I did not do a dark horse.
That's fine. That's good, because my dark horse was definitely not a dark horse, so I'm okay with that.
Oh, good. So we're... Yep. Well, in that case, I definitely said Brighton.
Yeah, sure. You said Brighton or Villa. That's definitely what you said. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
You know what? I saw the evening coming, and I just did it.
Yep.
So we've got so we've got our 1 through 20 and our 4 extras this season. Next year we'll remember to do dark horses.
Now, last year I beat you 6-5, but you have beaten me before too, and that puts us on aggregate of 3 years of doing this, right? 3 years of us picking 24 things or 25 things every single season. Our current score is 10-10.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Graham, without further ado,
Here we go.
Who did you pick to win the league?
I picked Manchester City to
As
win the league.
Did I? So both of us got that one right.
Let's go ahead and pull this up so I have it here for us. That is correct.
Mel, would you mind handing me a pen that I could use right quick, please? I should, I need a pen.
I'm keeping score.
Okay, very good.
Is that what you want the pen
No,
for?
that's perfect. Please keep score. Very good.
Maybe you should just go and stay on that side like Graham and just be talent, okay?
Yeah, if you don't hit the wrong fucking button in the middle of us doing something, then yeah, I would not be worried about it. But you're you, so I worry. Anyway.
Damn.
Second place, Mr. Graham. Who did you have?
Carson in here. Second place, I had Arsenal Football Club.
Second place, I had Arsenal Football Club.
Did you really? Fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it. I was hoping that was the +1 to me there.
Mm-hmm.
Shit.
Oh, don't worry. I'm going to fuck it all. Now it is, looking down, maybe one right. I think it's all wrong.
I think I have one right the rest of the way.
Likewise.
All right. What did you have for number 3? Let's start off with you this time.
Tottenham. I thought they were going to be fucking good this year. I really did.
Yeah, I had Liverpool, which is both wrong because in actual third place was Manchester United.
I thought they were going to fuck it off. I mean, I still thought they were going to be, you'll hear soon enough. I thought they were going to be decent, but I didn't expect them to be where they were.
I had, you know what? I think because a little further down the line, I had United in 7th. Where did you have them?
I have them 5th.
You had them in 5th. I think if they were unable to get rid of Ronaldo, one of us may have been correct.
Yeah.
But getting that toxicity out of the dressing room
made the biggest difference.
Saved their entire season. It really did.
All right, so 4th place, I had Liverpool.
I had Tottenham.
Very good. Okay, so both of us thought the same thing. We thought they were both very good clubs and were going to be Champions League. Yeah. It's one thing I forgot to mention. We are often very influenced by the start of the season, too. Because we do this after the transfer window is over.
We wait until the transfer window is closed, which was the problem with the manager thing, because by the time the window was closed, 2 people have been sacked.
And we were already 6 matches into the season at that point, too.
Yes.
So, you'll see some of my picks.
Because it started so early.
You'll see some of my picks, and you'll be like, what the hell were you thinking, 100%. Houston?
All right.
6th place.
No, 5th. We're in 5th
place. I had Manchester United.
I had Chelsea. It was actually Liverpool.
Yep.
Okay.
And in 6th place, I had Chelsea. 6 spots too high.
In 6th place, I had Newcastle, who finished in 4th, obviously.
Yep. So you had them going to Europe. Good on you.
And it was Brighton, actually, that did it. So
Brighton was 6th place.
Wrong again.
Yeah, Brighton was 6th place. That's very true.
I pulled the table. I'm looking at the table. Yep.
7th place, off by 1 spot, I had Brighton.
Unlucky. 7th place, I had United. It was actually Aston Villa.
Yep, very good. 8th place, I had them just missing out on Europe. I thought Newcastle would be around it, but I thought they would ultimately kind of slip up and fail.
Right.
And they certainly didn't, because they ended up in 4th.
Yep, absolutely. I had in 8th place, I had Brighton. I thought they'd come up just short. After losing Graham Potter and everything else, I thought they'd come up just short. They obviously did not, because Tottenham came up short. They were in 8th place in real life. Yeah.
Who did you have in 9th place, my good man?
In 9th, I had Crystal Palace. I thought they were going to have a better season than they did. Now, I wasn't far off, but I thought they were going to have a better season than they did have. Yeah.
Also, my dark horse. I had Crystal Palace finishing in 9th place.
Yeah.
I really thought they were going to turn it around.
You know what? If they only brought Roy the Boy back earlier, wise old owl might have gotten it done. But
Oh, shit. In 10th place, I'll go ahead and say I'm very influenced by the start of the season because everything was fine for Everton at that point, and I figured we'd be comfortably mid-table. Oh, boy, was I wrong. So 10th place, I had Everton.
it's a shame, really, because I was off by 1 place. In 10th place, I had Brentford, and they actually finished in 9th. I didn't mention.
Very good.
Very fucking close to that.
11th place, I had Mel's Villa.
Oh, sorry. In real 10th place was Fulham. We didn't say that either.
Yep. I had Mel's Villa. They had had a bad start, but I figured they'd right the ship. I figured they'd be comfortably mid-table.
I did almost the same thing. I had Villa in 12th, but in 11th place, I had Wolves. Also, again, not far off. They finally got their shit together, but they did finish in 13th. The real 11th place club was Crystal Palace.
Yep. 12th place, I got this one way wrong.
All of us did, because who would have thought Chelsea would have finished in 12th place, but they did.
I had Leeds.
Nice.
I thought Leeds was going to be way safe this season.
Don't worry, Leeds is coming up for me also. I had Villa, obviously, in 12th place. Same thing. Bad start. They would have righted the ship and finished comfortable. But that did not end up being the case. They were actually quite good after they sacked Stevie G.
All right.
So, yep.
13th place, who'd you got?
I had Wolves.
Very good.
I thought, they got their shit together a little bit more than I thought they would.
I had West Ham. I knew Europe was going to be tough on them, but
I'm sorry. In 13th was actually Wolves.
Oh, that's where they ended up playing.
Yeah. That's where they ended up. I apologize.
What did you pick?
I had West Ham.
Very good. I had West Ham as well.
I was one off.
All right.
By a point.
Well, look at that again. You and I picking the same way twice. That's fucking crazy.
We've been doing this too long.
Yeah, exactly.
We're starting to think like each other.
14th place, I had Brentford, who obviously finished in the top 10 and had their best season ever in a top flight.
Yeah, 14th, I had you.
Ah, very good.
Comfortable, but not very good. And that did not prove
I
to
think
be
that's
the
a fair
case.
assessment.
Yep.
We were safe, but
That was
not by
actually
much.
West Ham, of course.
All right, so I got an ice cube in my mouth. Sorry. 15th place. Go for it.
15th, I picked Leeds. It was actually Bournemouth.
Yep. I picked
That's
Leicester
a big old
City.
Wrong.
I picked Leicester City.
Oh, now here we go, buddy boy, because that's going to be the one-upper for me.
Oh, yeah. Very good. 16th place, I had Fulham.
I had Fulham as well. 16th place was actually Nottingham Forest. So both wrong.
Yep.
In 17th place. Now, here's where it starts to get dicey.
Yeah.
A lot of times we usually get them right.
Just not in the right
Just
order.
not in the right order.
I got 'em
Obviously,
very wrong.
we all got them very wrong, except for I got one correct. In 17th place, I had Southampton narrowly escaping by the skin of their teeth again. They did not, obviously. They finished dead last. So that is wrong for me because Everton Football Club on the final day secured their, 63rd in a row?
63rd season in a row.
Something like that?
Yep.
Yeah.
I went with Wolverhampton in 17th place. I knew they were in trouble. I knew that they hadn't really signed enough people and that it wasn't going well with Bruno Lage even from the start. So I was not surprised that they were in the struggle at the end, but they were able to right it.
Yep. All right. 18th place,
So-
what'd you have?
Well, it looks like I got at least one relegation team right, but not in the right order. I did pick Southampton to go down, but I put them in 18th place. I felt like they were too young and they had just escaped life too many times and that it was going to finally catch up to them.
Right. Now, normally I would be sympathetic to you, except for I did pick Leicester, and Leicester finished in 18th place.
There you go.
So you're not
up
getting
3
a
to
point
2.
because I am getting a point.
Very nice. 3 to 2.
And my last two are also wrong.
Yeah, my last two, I had Nottingham Forest in 19th and Bournemouth in 20th.
Fuck, I had Forest and Bournemouth as well.
Yum.
In that order, and it wasn't. It was Leeds and Southampton.
And Bournemouth
Wrong
was
and
quite
wrong.
comfortably safe.
Yep, so I'm up 3 to 2.
Yep.
Going
Now-
into the extras.
All right. Scoring leader. Who did you have?
I want to point out, though, 4 times you were both wrong together.
Yes, we were. Yeah. 3 to 2 with actual correct scores. 4 of them we were wrong together.
Yeah, for real.
Great minds, my friend. Great minds.
That's absolutely right. All right, so Golden Boot winner, I had Erling Haaland.
I also had Erling Haaland.
So it was Correct.
Heavily influenced by the start of the season. I think he'd already scored 2 hat tricks. We're like, that guy's going to win it.
Yeah. Not far behind him, though. Surprisingly, very quiet because Tottenham had such a shit season.
Harry Kane
scored 30.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty wild.
Third coach fired. Who did you have?
So I wrote down Steven Gerrard, which is unfortunate because he was the 4th coach fired just a few days after Bruno Lage was relieved of his duties at Wolverhampton Wanderers.
I had Brendan Rodgers, who did eventually get relieved of his duties, or left
5
on mutual
months
consent.
later. Yeah.
Yep. My dark horse, which you did not do, and I did. I had Palace. You had Palace. I mean, you had nobody, so that doesn't matter. FA Cup, I do this every year. Every year I get it wrong. Everton.
Yeah, I chose Arsenal because I thought we'd actually do it.
Right.
We did not.
Right.
It was Manchester City.
And then for the League Cup, because they always win it, except for the last 2 years in a row, I had City.
I fucking picked City, too, for the same goddamn thing.
Because they win it all the time.
Because they win it all the time, and it wasn't. It was United.
All right,
Well,
Mel.
good job. You know what? You stopped on winning a quadruple.
There we go.
Well done.
Mel, what is the total score there then? 4-3, is it?
4-3.
4-2-3. And then I just need a pen for 1 second to write one thing down. That now makes it 14-13. Graham.
After 4 years of doing this.
Yes, we have
Terrible.
not even gotten 30 correct. Out of a possible 125, we have gotten.
You wonder why I was over 37 this
We
year.
are just miserable.
I don't even want to count up how many hours I've spent on this show.
Now, on to our other little fun segment we like to do. The 5 best and 5 worst signings in the transfer market. Now, typically we tend not to include the January transfer window, even though those people can be very, they can,
Influential.
they
They
a
have
good
to do
example.
something very, very special to.
I think we both had Bruno Guimaraes in last year simply because
He was that.
they went from
yeah.
20th place to 10th place at Newcastle, and he was clearly the reason why.
100%.
But normally we do not. But I think it would be notable to just kind of talk about some of the good signings. Trossard for Arsenal was massive.
Yep.
Enzo Fernandez was the only
Chelsea
shining
player.
bright spot for Chelsea the entire season and gives them some hope for the future. And honestly, Pedro Porro for Spurs was phenomenal
When
in
they finally started
bad-
playing him, yes.
in a very bad situation. He was very, very good and proved to be a really good wing back. A lot of assists, a lot of goals for the limited time he got to play, and was an impact player on matches. I mean, essentially bench Perisic because of it for the most part.
100%.
Now on the bad side, not so much because he played poorly, but just the dollar amount. Anthony Gordon to Newcastle for $40 million.
Yeah, it's a lot of money to pay for a bit part player.
Right. A substitute who scored you 1 goal. And he's young and he's talented, but 40 million talented in the mid-tran, that was we're going to sign him to make sure Everton's worse.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, it felt like that was the case. Now, for Chelsea, it's not so much that he was a bad signing. It's the story that went along with it for Mudryk.
Yeah.
It was,
But it's also no goals for 100 million.
right. But why was it 100 million? It was comfortably 40 million to you. And then Chelsea went, no, 60 million more. Bowley went all LA Dodgers on your ass.
Well, really part of it. I mean, they always wanted between 60 and 80 for him. I mean, that's what we were quoted. The problem came where he's very young. He's only had 2 or 3 top flight seasons under his belt in Zagreb. And I think his best goal return was 11.
Right.
So what were we paying 100 million for? It didn't make a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Also, I think everybody got held to task on the price. I think we probably could have negotiated him down.
Oh, God, yes, I think
Except
you could.
for the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which hamstrung all of their clubs. And if they're letting somebody go, they had players walk for free.
Yeah.
That FIFA ruling that said, in a war-torn nation, you can roll out if you need to.
Yeah, if you got to go, you can go.
They did. A lot of players did. So the saleable assets, they held tough on their price. So they could afford other people in return.
Yeah, agreed.
And Todd Bowley, I guess, doing his part for for Ukraine paid over the odds for him for no real reason.
Yeah. Now, and then the last two that are worth mentioning, both from the same team from Leeds. What is it, Giancarlo Reuter or Giovanni Reuter?
Is this the one for Leeds?
That is the $40 million record signing that played one fucking game.
Well, so little peek
Sorry.
behind the curtain. I forgot his name. He's my fourth worst signing of the league because he played one fucking game.
Yeah, worth
for
mentioning.
$40 million. It's just a waste of money. What'd you buy him for?
Yeah, right. You
What's the
spend
point?
that kind of money on a player, you got it. That
Pay my wife $40 million. I'll turn out 2 games for you. She owns my rights. It's fine.
And the other one, this was an audition. It was a loan spell, so not a signing. But this was the audition for Weston McKennie to show that he was ready to play in the Prem, and he failed miserably.
Yeah, there's a lot made of this. I think a lot of the tactical issues surrounding Leeds didn't do him any favors. I think he will have no shortage of people wanting to sign him this summer because he is a good player. He is a grafter, but he also is coachable. I think he is actually quite good at listening to his coaches and performing the tactics that they want him to do. And I just don't think Leeds had any direction.
Fair enough.
So I don't think there's going to be any problem. I think, was it Brighton or somebody was linked with McKennie and Aronson?
Yeah.
Actually, a double swoop.
Those might be a very good fit for that team.
Yeah, and if they're willing to listen, willing to try, willing to buy into the project, why wouldn't they be? I think they're both talented footballers. They just need to that direction. They can't grab a game by the scruff of the neck.
Yep.
But they're good role players.
All right, so you want to do top 5 or worst 5 first?
Up to you. Doesn't matter.
All right, well, let's go ahead and do top 5. We're going to go from 5 to 1. I will get it started with my number 5, Lucas Paqueta from West Ham United.
All right, so I can't put him in since we already owned him, even though he never turned out for Arsenal before, really. William Saliba.
Okay.
But we already owned him, so he wasn't a signing. But we had loaned him out 2 years in a row back to Saint Etienne and then I think Marseille or whoever it was. And he ended up getting French Young Player of the Year last year. And then we put him straight in and he didn't miss a beat.
Yeah.
And once he got hurt, we saw how much we missed him.
Yeah,
I thought he was phenomenal. But because he was signed this season, I will have to say it is Paqueta because of what he meant to West Ham. I mean, they were a totally different team when he's involved in the side, and his absence mid-season, we saw how badly their midfield fell apart without him.
Agreed.
And Declan Rice had way too much work to do. And there's just no creative bone in anyone else's body on that field, really.
Right, very
for
true.
a majority of the season. But when Paqueta plays, so went West Ham.
Very true. I did forget to do the honorable mentions, but we'll do them at the end of the list here. So number 4, who do you have?
Taiwo Awoniyi.
And 10 goals. He did the job. I mean, it took him a while to get there.
Settle in. But he was, these last 2-3 months solidified him as one of the best signings, in my opinion, because Forest were doomed. They needed his goals to win games, and they got them.
And they were goals that got points directly. Like his goals equaled points in the table that gave him survival.
Yeah, I think with the fee that he commanded, which wasn't ridiculous compared to some of the fees that were spent on other players this season.
Yeah,
I think their and their eventual solidification of safety. I think that's probably bang for buck. One of the better signings of the season.
All right, on to number 3. I'll go first. This was very under the radar. It was one of the first signings that Newcastle made. Nobody thought anything of it. And he was just everything to this defense. It allowed Fabian Schär to do more. It allowed them to be able to push Dan Burn into like a 3-back system when Trippier was bombing forward. Just allowed a lot of freedom for this team because this guy was a fucking rock. I have Sven Botman.
Yeah, a very good signing. Hard, tough as nails, this guy. You're absolutely right. He was fantastic all season. But I got to go down the other end of the pitch because once he finally settled in after that initial injury problem, he allowed the play to be stretched so much and allowed someone like Callum Wilson. How are they going to play together? They figured it
And
the
this
fuck out.
is, by the way,
Alexander Isak.
Very good.
And that 20 minutes, I mean, really, he could have walked out on the field and wanked the whole season. except for that game against Tottenham, and done what he'd done in the first 20 minutes, and he still would have been included in my best signings of the season because I hate Tottenham Hotspur.
Very fair.
But he was fantastic, I think, especially the second half of the season, and vital for them securing Champions League.
Excellent. Now, who do you have for number 2, sir?
Number 2 has got to be said, Alexander Zinchenko. He was phenomenal this season, and again, when he got hurt at the end, we saw how much we missed him. So much so that Arteta stopped trusting Kieran Tierney.
Yeah.
And just changed our system.
Yeah. Well, I was going to put him in there, but I knew you would.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's where I wanted to put in Paqueta and Yao Polina, because those two, for those clubs very specifically,
Polina was excellent.
Was just monster. Right. So it was very important. I wanted to make sure we pointed them out.
Led the league in tackles, I think. João Polina.
Now, number 1, let's go ahead and say it at the same time, because we're both going to say it's Erling Haaland.
Yeah.
Like it's
hands down.
He sets the record for most goals in a Premier League season, and
most hat tricks in a single season. I think
it's absurd. Most players do not go into a Pep system and immediately bet in, especially a guy who isn't a Pep system guy.
Right. The other piece is most people take time to adapt to the league. I thought he was physical enough. I thought he was brutish enough.
Yeah.
My concern was he had 3 or 4 seasons in a row at Dortmund, and before that, I think Leipzig or wherever he was, mold somebody, where he picked up these muscle injuries.
Yep.
And so I was worried about the physicality of the Premier League for him in that sense. Where is he going to get hurt? He didn't get hurt.
Yeah, there were a few minor injuries. He missed like a game here, a game there, but yeah, he was remarkable. He was absolutely remarkable.
I mean, but each of the last couple seasons, he's missed a month with a hamstring or 3 weeks with a calf or whatever. He didn't have that this season. He didn't have any sort of even relatively extended stint on the sidelines. And you saw what it gave. You saw how hungry he was. You saw, and we've said it before, but like in interviews, it's easy for somebody that scores that many goals to turn up and just, I'm hungry for goals. That's just how it goes. And I just score a lot of them. He would rattle off like, that's great, but I should have had 6. Like I missed this chance and this chance and this chance. And he was so focused on the things that went wrong. So you just knew like he's actively trying to get better and he's already the best. And that's trouble.
And
he's like Zlatan without the fucking ego.
Yeah. The thing with him is they've had a problem at striker, right? Gabriel Jesus never really took that next step.
Well, Pep wouldn't play him through the middle for real.
Aguero was great, but he never, he was hurt a lot, and there was never real consistency to him, even back then. Like, he got the famous goal that got him their first title, but he's a legend, but it's not like this pinpoint, that's our guy. Like, oh, last year was supposed to be Jesus, and then Aguero
was more a Pep system guy. So, like, he did drop into midfield and pass and create. He did do some of those things. But, I mean, you got to remember, too, and we're talking about a league that housed Ruud van Nistelrooy, that housed Thierry Henry, that housed a few others. Sergio Aguero didn't hurt by that system either.
Right, no.
He's the all-time foreign leading goal scorer in the Premier League.
Right.
He scored more goals than Thierry Henry.
Right.
Which is no mean feat.
Yeah, and then you had the head to the spear, though, with Erling Haaland. It was just something you've never seen them have. It was something
a bit more ruthless. Like, Sergio Aguero wasn't really a great header of the ball.
Yeah.
Like, he was a bit more of a poacher in, that
fox
sort
in the
of
box in a way,
sense.
Yeah, definitely.
He wasn't going to, do 3-step overs to beat people. Erling Haaland will run through them. He will jump and head the ball. He will bicycle kick it.
He will run past them.
When he builds up a head of steam, he'll run past them. He'll score any type of goal, any type of way.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
He's a bit more of a, I guess, complete player, if you will, than Sergio Aguero in my opinion, in terms of finishing. I think now Sergio Aguero, don't get me wrong, is a fantastic finisher, but Erling Haaland can do all of it. Sergio Aguero, very noticeably, in 1 or 2 categories, lacked a little bit.
All right, so I did a new thing that we're going to do at the very end of this segment, which is new players, young players that I'm not going to include in the honorable mentions because, let's face it, they're just young, right? It's hard to you could say they had a great first year, but we wouldn't put them on this list because they weren't that much of an impact.
Right.
But for honorable mention, I'm going to take out the people that we've already mentioned. Both of us have mentioned, but Akanji for City, sneaky, quiet,
Man,
really good in central defense.
It took him about a month or two to get bedded in, but he
by the
finally
end,
did.
he was the first name
solid.
on. He was the first name on the defense for them.
He was
pretty
pretty
much.
solid. Yeah.
For me,
he forced Emerick Laporte out.
right.
It's been him and either Stones or Diaz, but mostly Diaz because they've been deploying Stones either on the bench or as kind of an impact sub when they needed a better ball playing center half.
Yep.
Or as a defensive midfielder when Rodri couldn't do it.
Now, this one I had mentioned last week, and while everybody's going to bring up the bad mistake against Arsenal, and I know he's old and he's a bit past it, Everton does not stay up if they do not have Idrissa Gana.
No.
Period. End of discussion.
100%.
He completely helped that midfield. The just with the workload, the energy, the being. Even when they had to sub him out because he's getting older and he's getting a bit. He was absolute impact, and for any mistakes that any Evertonian wants to say, I'm sorry. There's 100 times where he makes 7-8 tackles in a match.
Oh yeah,
and it was just.
I mean, remember he left you the first time for PSG.
Yeah,
and came back. Because he loves the club, he didn't have to go back there. There was no shortage of suitors for him.
Yeah, he also didn't. He didn't leave over the January window. He said, "I'll stay through the end of the season. You guys I want to go play Champions League after this." And they were like, "Yeah, we'll send you on." And he stayed, and he helped the team then too. So it's just
those short term people that your club makes buy in, like Onana. Mm-hmm. He said, I can't promise I'm going to be here long term. I want to play in the Champions League, and I don't think I can do that here.
Right.
But I care.
Right. And played with a lot of heart.
Yeah. Up until the final whistle, played with a lot of heart. Now, he's younger, obviously, than Gana, but I think he'll stay one more season before he moves on.
He's going to be on the list that we're going to get to.
Okay.
Definitely. Now, the last honorable mention I have is a tandem.
By the way, wasn't told about this.
Yeah, I know.
Young players thing.
I told you on the phone earlier, but you didn't know. It was
already done.
It's fine. You're good. It was all good. But worth mentioning, I would call this a tandem because if one wasn't on the pitch, it was definitely seen, and you could tell that they needed both. But the two of these guys is why Manchester United is playing Champions League ball this year, and that is Casemiro and Eriksen.
Yeah,
without a doubt, because their midfield was a fucking mess before that, and those two. It allows you to let Bruno Fernandes go be creative, and it allows those guys up front to work on getting open, and they were everything in the success of Manchester United this season. And you saw when
Christian Eriksen got hurt, how much it hurt them, and Casemiro couldn't do it all on his own.
And Casemiro got red carded, and
Eriksen couldn't do it by himself.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very notable when they weren't together on the pitch. That's why I said it was a tandem. That's why I didn't put it in the top 5, because it was a tandem. I couldn't put one above the other, and I don't think one without the other was that impactful. I think it was a tandem that made them.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Let's go ahead and get into the 5 worst signings. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do the honorable mentions first, because I don't think you're going to have any of these on your list, and if you do, oh well. 2 of them for Wolves. Because first they went out and they signed Sasa Kolajic, and that was supposed to be their answer at striker. He scored a goal, got hurt after scoring that goal, didn't play another game the rest of the season. And because of that, they decided to do a big old ad campaign with Diego Costa holding a bunch of Wolves, and that would be the highlight of Diego Costa at fucking Wolves.
Yeah.
So those are both honorable mentions.
Remember, the only goal he scored was a tackle that was pinged against his shins.
Yes, exactly. And then the other honorable mention that I'd like to make, which seemed like a very smart signing at the start of the year, but ended up being rendered useless by the time Gerrard was gone, Philippe Coutinho.
Yep.
For Villa. Great signing at the start of the year, useless by the time Gerrard was gone.
Fair.
Oh.
It's absolutely fair.
Number 5, who do you have?
Jesse Lingard.
Jesse Lingard. That's a fair one. I considered
for the
putting
first
him.
few games. He was shit for the first few games anyway, and then turned around and didn't really play much because Morton Gibbs-White and Brennan Johnson really took up the mantle in that position, and they didn't need him. I don't know. I think he may have started his time on the bench with an injury, but the way those two played the rest of the season, he was never even invited back into the first team, really.
Number 5 for me. Not so much his fault, but there was the comparison. It was Erling Haaland. And it was Darwin Nunez. And
It was for $100 million. All the
For-
misses. Come on, man.
Right, and that's why I put him on this list. He did score some goals. He did prove he may end up next year being a fantastic player for him.
As soon as Luis Diaz was fit, and as soon as Jota was fit, he was the first one dropped out of that front three.
Yeah, exactly. So
and that's telling.
yeah, so that was for me. It was unfortunate for the lad because it's just what it is. But
I toyed with putting him on
he
here.
was the comparison. It was him and Holland.
Mhm.
Holland exceeded. He was meh.
I toyed with putting him on here, but I have a different because I wanted to ruffle feathers with this as well. So I have
Okay.
a different 100 million
Okay.
player.
So who is your number 4 then?
My number 4 was that dude for Leeds.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't remember his name. Didn't play a single fucking
Giovanni
game that I remember.
Reuter.
Yeah.
Yeah, or no, Gino Carlo Reuter. Either Gino
that-
Giovanni or Gino Carlo Reuter. But
For
yeah,
that much money is fucking terrible.
especially
What are
for
you doing?
a what is a big club, but not one of the big 6. You spend $40 million. That's someone who needs to be impacting your lineup.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, hands down. For me, number 4, pains me to say it, Richarlison for Spurs at $60 million.
Terrible.
Yeah, I mean, got 1
Three
goal.
goals, 2
3
chalked
goals,
off. 2
Yeah.
chalked off.
Yeah, just
2 yellow cards for
a few
shirt
yellow cards
removal.
for celebrating. It is not.
Fucking brilliant.
It is not that the guy doesn't
And
have
the
a
one
motor.
goal that counted, Liverpool scored 8 seconds later
Yeah,
and
yep.
beat them 4-3.
Yeah, exactly. Now
Storybook ending.
he it's not that he doesn't have a motor. It's not that he's not a talented player. He is. He's very much
just
so.
a young prick.
And
His ego.
I don't think this was a Conte signing. This was a Daniel Levy can get him at a quote unquote good price at the
At a
transfer
bargain,
deadline
yeah.
because Everton are desperate to move on from him because they need the money to stay within financial fair play. And he may be integral to this team, to Spurs next season, but this year he was horrid. In number 3, everyone's favorite own goal scoring center back, Wout Face for me for Leicester.
I
He
mean,
was
his
miserable.
record speaks for itself.
He was
He scored
miserable.
more goals against Leicester than he did for Leicester.
Yes.
Yeah.
And their central defense without Johnny Evans, it didn't matter what combination it was out there, was just
terrible.
disastrous.
And Soyuncu was good, remember, last season or 2 seasons ago, whatever it was.
It was Europe.
He was
when
good.
he was Europe for Turkey and they had done so bad, he came
when
back
he
with
came
zero
back,
confidence.
He had that one absolute shocker, actually, where he took somebody out on the final day or something in the goal mouth that season, got a red.
Yep.
And then he never came back from that suspension the same player.
Yep. Never.
Was
Never at all.
terrible.
Who do you got for number 3?
Number 3 was the tall guy from Southampton. Don't remember his name. I don't think he made an appearance. But he was touted as the fucking savior. He's
Heard.
going to go up front and score his goals just because he's 6'8".
And nothing.
I don't even think he played a game.
Fucking too funny.
And I don't know his name, so I can't look it up.
Kenny,
But
let
I don't
Sam
remember
know.
seeing a really tall Nigerian.
Very good.
I remember seeing a lot of Theo Walcott.
Yeah. Oh, well, that might have been.
I saw a lot of Che Adams.
Was that Saliumana? No, because Saliumana actually scored some goals. He was one in the January transfer window that Southampton wanted. But
I don't
not to-
know.
don't bother with-
No. And there's
no.
Alcaraz, who was actually decent for
Yeah.
them, scored 2 or 3 really good goals. But he was
So-
signed in January as well.
all right, so here's number 2. Who do you got for number 2, Mr.
All
Graham?
right, so number 2 is a tandem because they both did fuck all.
Okay.
Wout Weghorst and Anthony. And I also realize how annoying it is for me to not know the names of number 3 and 4. So the top worst signings and number 2s, I did do 2 people for each. Anthony, so the $100 million that I led on earlier was very poorly spent because all you got was 2 goals and 3 pirouettes out of him.
Yeah,
He
pretty
did
much.
fuck all, and the important games he got dropped for, and that says something. He gave him Eric Ten Hag gave him 6 months
And
of
won it-
you're the starter,
And
and
his
then
first of the
it
2
was-
goals was against Everton in his first game
in
playing.
like August, yeah,
Yeah, first
was
game playing.
fucking terrible. And then Wout Weghorst just didn't do anything.
Yeah.
It's all season, just nothing. It's
Yeah.
just a big lad up front,
He was
and it
quote a
didn't
locker
even,
room guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just didn't even help. But they put him on the field, which is inexplicable.
For
but
me,
that's how that was.
At number 2, good old Neil Lespay.
He was bad.
rush,
I toyed with putting him in here also, but he at least did some shithousery,
a rush
and
by,
that I can respect.
a rush by because Calvert-Lewin was hurt and they desperately wanted a striker. $15 million, scored 1 goal, and that was it.
That's some shithouse.
Yeah.
That's worth
Some
something.
shithouse. That was about it. Number 1, who do you have, Mr. Sam?
About face.
About face.
/ Doug. And I think Doug was already there. Don't care. I'd never seen him before. He was terrible. And they stuck with him for 7 months.
Very good.
Both of them horrendous. I've already spoken, waxed lyrical about Vout Face's contribution to the Leicester cause in finishing in 18th and being relegated. He was by far the worst signing. He's Sideshow Bob looking just terrible at football. I don't know why he plays this sport at all. To be honest, he should not be playing the sport.
My number 1, the player that exemplified everything that was wrong at Chelsea Football Club, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
Brilliant. That is brilliant.
He came and he did fuck all, which was what you knew he was going to do, because you're like, you took me away from fucking Barcelona. I was doing fuck all
Told you
there
so,
and
yeah.
like just going out to clubs and shit.
Well, he scored some goals at Barca because he loves Barca so much. It was Real Madrid, by the way.
Yeah.
That he loved so much.
Yeah.
But turned up for Barcelona. Had a couple games where he scored like four in a game.
Yeah.
And then started the season shite, and they sold him before the end of the window.
Everything
Yeah.
that was wrong with Chelsea Football Club, that at the death window signing, and then they made the whole Arsenal, we're gonna get over on you.
He made a video. They made a
It
video
was
for the
just-
socials. It was terrible.
It was laughable, absolutely laughable. Now,
Absolutely
finally,
pitiful,
we're gonna just do this real quick. I'm gonna throw a few names at you that are worth mentioning, just that were great young signings that are some we may see at other clubs because they were on teams that went down. That person right off the top, we don't have to say much about him either, but just worth mentioning. Romeo Lavia for Southampton was a star.
Was
a
decent.
fucking
Yeah, he was pretty good.
Star
He was
in the
pretty good.
midfield.
So I really like that Alcaraz kid. I thought he did pretty well.
Almost put him on, but I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but yeah, definitely worth mentioning because I didn't want to try.
I mean, I could see him at least being loaned out to somebody, both of them. You know what I mean?
Another great one, Sheikh Decore for Palace.
Yeah.
He became like they needed a young player to be a solid defensive midfielder because Milivojevic and Hughes and just the list was just they were getting old,
Bigger and bigger and bigger.
and of old central midfielders, and you needed an energy guy. And what he did goes highly underrated. He was a fantastic defensive midfielder.
You know who else I'd say, and he wasn't a signing, obviously, but coming off that ACL injury, so almost like a new signing because he had been out for so long. Was Eze.
Yeah.
But then looked tentative in those first few games, and Vieira dropped him and didn't bring him back in. That's the first fucking thing Roy Hodgson did was bring Eze back in, and immediately Palace's fortunes changed.
Yep, absolutely. Continuing, at the end, I'm going to give you two teams with two people, but let's continue with the single ones. Wilfred Nato for Leeds. He was $5 million.
Yeah, is that the winger, the little Italian winger?
The little Italian that just
he was excellent.
absolutely fantastic.
So always positive, always running at always direct, you know, going towards the box, trying to put a cross in, trying to find a shot, trying to do something.
The next one would be, I think, very key in why Bournemouth stayed up. Marcus Tavernier.
Yeah. Tavernier.
Tavernier,
He was fantastic. You're absolutely right.
Really
solid
good.
left foot there.
And his goals and his play in the middle of the pitch is single-handedly what helped kept them up. Between him, Billing, and Solanke, that's why that team, and Neto is an experienced keeper, that is why that team stayed up.
And you know what? Actually, you just made me think of something with the two wingers back-to-back. Crescencio Somerville for Leeds.
My God, yes,
Thought
he was phenomenal.
He was phenomenal. He deserved way more minutes than he got.
Now, the next two, first we'll do Everton because they were down near the bottom, and then we'll talk about the Brighton guys. But for Everton, Amadou Onana, of course, he was a great
I think he's going to be a lot better this coming season. I think it took him a bit of time. Obviously, Frank, not the tactician.
Yeah.
I think that hurt him initially. But he looks a player. He obviously cares. I think he's got one more season at your club before he moves on.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think this season, if they actually go into it with a proper plan, which it looks like they will with Sean Dyche, I think he's going to flourish, Onana.
I would agree.
Yeah.
And I would have put James Gardner on, but he simply just didn't get enough minutes. But the minutes he got were impactful as fuck, especially playing under Dyche. There was a big one. But the other one, is we don't think of him as being a young player because he played all the fucking time for 3 seasons at Burnley and then almost the entire season here and was one of the leading goal scorers. Dwight McNeil,
Yeah.
like 24. He's
Yeah.
still a baby.
Still
He's
technically young,
baby.
Yeah.
He won Young Player of the Year for Everton this year when
Yep.
they gave out the awards. Like, yeah, he was phenomenal. And he fell out of favor a little bit with Frank, and I think he just wasn't being coached. And the minute Dyche got his hands on him, and now he had experience with him at
It
Burnley,
was like, I trust this guy. And turned it
switch
right
went on
100%.
fucking,
Yep.
and was impactful in every single game where we got points. We got points because of him. The way we talked about
Him and Damar Gray.
the way we talked about how Awoniyi's goals equaled points, what McNeil did equaled fucking
But then also
points.
sacrificing for the team. Like,
Yeah.
he was playing way further up the field, which he wanted to do anyway.
Yeah.
By the end of it, because of injuries, he was playing wingback.
Yep. Now let's get to the real great young players because this was for Brighton, and frankly, Brighton's fucking Europe. It's worth celebrating, you know?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
This one's still very young, only got a little bit of time, but Julio and CCO. Whew, that kid's going to be good.
A couple
as long
of
as
very good goals in there.
Got to keep his head. Got to keep his head into the game. He seems like one of those types that might fade out if he's not getting exactly what he wants. So,
Yep.
you know,
I mean, I don't know if they're on your list or not, but if we just want to rattle off a couple Brighton players, because there's a few, Caicedo was excellent. He was only signed in the summer. You forget that. He was excellent. Obviously, Arsenal came in for him for $40 million or whatever
I
it was in
almost
January.
put him on, but when his head got turned there for a little while, that was
he fucked it, but he came right back in 3 games later and was fine.
And who else do you got? Because you might be mentioning him right now.
Well, Ferguson,
Okay, yeah.
obviously, because he was there, I think, in the academy for a season prior, but just a revelation, 18-year-old Irish lad. When he finally started getting minutes, he was phenomenal.
And then the last one, and the one that I wrote down is Purvis Estupiñán.
Yep. Estupiñán was fantastic.
Wow.
Now,
wow.
The one thing I will say about him is he is very left-footed.
Oh, yeah.
He's a
left back.
He's like-
we know his position. Left back.
he is like Rob Holmes left-footed.
Yeah.
He can't do anything with his right but stand on it, really.
Yeah.
But when it's that good, he's like Chile with his right foot. You remember
Yep,
Chile?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, he was like him, but Chile's right-footed. Couldn't do anything with his left.
Yep.
But best outside of the boot right passer I've ever seen.
It was just insanity.
Because he couldn't use his
at
left
all.
foot
Not
at all.
one bit.
Yeah. He was fantastic. I really enjoyed most of watching him play.
All right, Mr. Graham, no betting segment, no championship corner. Of course, all of that is done. Congratulations to the newly promoted sides.
Yes.
With that, I leave it to you. Any parting words, my good friend?
Not really. I will say Big Sam has departed Leeds.
Shocker.
We all saw that coming.
Yeah.
Obviously. Took some parting shots, of course. Was asked to go upstairs and help them in the search for the new coach. They respectfully declined his offer and sent him on his way.
Yeah.
So his only bonus was that $5 he found on the side of the pitch.
Yeah. Well, and he'll
That's
also
a shame.
tell everybody, I mean, I would have helped. Like the first Leeds coach that is faltering is going to be like, well, I could have helped him. You know, when I was at Everton, they finished in 10th place, and I had improved their team greatly. Like,
brilliant.
just fucking
The only parting words I will have aren't from England. Very quickly, Karim Benzema has called quits on Real Madrid. He will be moving on this summer. The reports are 2 things I've heard is 2 years, $400 million, or 3 to 4 with an option for a 4th for $637 million to Saudi Arabia.
yeah, that makes sense. Go get the payday.
Yeah, why not? He's been there for 14 years, I think it was. And very quietly has, if it wasn't for Ronaldo, would be the all-time leading goal scorer. Overtook fucking Raul.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's second on the all-time goal scorer list for Real fucking Madrid. But with him moving on, could pave the way for a Harry Kane transfer.
Yeah.
Keep your eyes on that this summer because Manchester United are also in for him.
Yeah. My concern for Harry Kane is, does Harry Kane
Charlie Kane know what he's doing?
well, does Harry Kane want a trophy, or does Harry Kane want the English scoring title?
Well, I think he instantly vastly improves Manchester United.
Right.
And vastly improves the other forwards in the line with him.
Yeah.
Because he is such a good passer of the ball.
Yeah.
So Marcus Rashford with the shit service he got this season, scored almost or just about 20 or just over 20.
Right around 20.
In all competitions. I think you see him easy 25 in all comps.
And
easy.
One last parting word for you, Mr. Graham.
The last one. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is retired.
The king in his own mind. The Zlatan. Zlatan play football. Football has retired from Zlatan.
Yes. We can't watch football anymore. We can only watch YouTube clips of Zlatan talking about football.
Football is no longer a game. Zlatan has left.
You know what? I was listening to it on the Ramble today. It is an era-defining retirement.
It really is.
He was the best part. I think AC Milan played away. It doesn't matter if they did or not. The team that they play, he did get a goal, which is a fitting send-off.
Mm-hmm.
So did Karim Benzema in his final game for Real Madrid. But Zlatan, the team, Fiore, whoever they were playing, I don't remember their name. Fienza, something like that. The fans started booing him.
Uh-huh.
And he speaks like 6 languages. So in Italian, on the field, with the microphone, he turns around and he goes, "The highlight of your season is seeing me right now. Shut your mouth."
You want to talk about the level of like shithousery and the fuck around and find out the do as you do, not as you like. He did. He was the greatest shit talker and then backed it up. He scored everywhere.
Every type of goal. Every team he's ever been on has won titles except the season he was at Manchester United.
It's just insanity. It's fucking insanity.
He's excellent. He's excellent. And it started when he was 16 years old, and Arsene Wenger hosted him at Arsenal for a trial. And he was under the impression that he was just training and hadn't signed his contract yet. And Arsene Wenger brought him in, and he goes, "So do I get the number 9 shirt or what?" And Arsene Wenger looks at him and goes, "Zlatan, this was a trial." And he goes, "Oh, I'm leaving then. Zlatan doesn't do auditions." And fucking rolled out at 16 years old, signed for Ajax 2 weeks later, won the Dutch title, became a legend there, moves on, Barcelona, PSG, AC Milan, Inter Milan, just Juve.
Yeah.
Manchester United, I heard a stat today, 28 goals in 46 games. More than a goal every other game.
Insanity.
Just everywhere he goes.
Fucking insanity.
Just Barcelona, again, I think he played for Real Madrid at one point as well. Just... The guy's amazing. Him and Pep didn't get along. Big surprise.
Yeah. What we're ultimately robbed of is that he was Swedish, and we never got to see him like really perform in a World Cup.
No, you know what? But you know, we did see a fucking bicycle kick from 40 yards out against England, and the knobhead that is Ryan Shawcross trying to defend against it, and ended up like hurting himself, getting caught up in the net when he slid in.
Fucking brilliant.
It was at his career. So. Obviously, we're an American show. We live, eat, and breathe for the last 10 years Chuck Norris memes.
Right.
Zlatan is Chuck Norris to the rest of the world.
Yes, exactly.
He is that, when I moved out to Ajax from Sweden, the family lost the head of the household.
Yeah,
my dad is worthless,
right.
kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was some guy that looks like him in like Romania's 2nd division or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some journalist asked him once, and he said, "Oh, you look a lot like Zlatan. Do you know if you guys are related?" And he goes, "Oh, no, my father's never been to Sweden," or something like that. And then Zlatan caught wind of this, and he responded with like, "Yeah, but my father's been to Romania." Kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Love it.
He's bigger than football.
Yeah,
he's just the ego, the everything. It's funny. It's fantastic, and he leans into it. The I am Zlatan. He refers to himself in a third person in a lot of cases, and it's not turn off.
No, it was brilliant.
It's almost endearing. It's beautiful. I love the guy.
I think Ted Lasso, really got that.
He was Zava. And
Oh, yeah.
When they wrote it, Sudeikis came out and said, "This is Zlatan."
Oh, you can tell.
Yeah,
you can tell. And I think they got all of the charm and ego at the same time.
Because that was the thing. It was, he was an insufferable, egotistical maniac.
Yeah.
But charming as fuck, and we all loved him. Like, how does somebody do that?
100%. When he came when he got signed to LAFC, or was it the Galaxy?
It was Galaxy. It was Galaxy.
Whoever, whatever it was, I think he took out a full page ad in the LA Times that just said, "You're welcome," like for signing.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You're welcome. Zlatan is here.
You are blessed to have me.
Like, what?
And yes, they were. Yes, they fucking were.
It's amazing. It's amazing, and I for one am going to miss it.
Oh, agreed. Very much.
I for one am going to miss it. I hope he goes into punditry,
that'd be
so we can see him more often. And a little preview, just very briefly, for my top 50 that I'm doing of the top 50 Premier League players of all time. I know he only played there for a season and a half. Zlatan's included. Because of his full body of work.
He's just fucking incredible.
Him playing that 18 months gave me the ability to include his entire body of work into this list. And he's not number 50. He is higher than somebody that may have played their entire career in England.
That does not surprise me. Does not surprise me at all.
He's not very high up because he only played 18 months.
Right.
I can't do that. But he's in there, and he's not number 50.
Excellent. All right, boys and girls, next up is injury time, where we're going to talk about the beers we were drinking. We're going to do a small little recap on fantasy because there's some interesting things to look into. And we're also going to preview both of the European games because they involve English teams. So, Sam, should somebody want to find injury time, how do they go about doing it?
Very easy. It's patreon.com/DU Football Show. And you will give us $5 and you will listen because we are the best football podcast that there is. And I am Sam and he is Sam and we are just Sam. And you just deal with it.
Brilliant. Till next week, everybody.
Zlatan.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston.
Sam Houston.
Arsenal fans have another Sam. AKA the fucking Gooner Graham. Smells of a lord. Looks great in shorts. Sam Grammy.
Sam Graham.
Brooklyn United! Hit the fucking mute button!